Yo everybody, hi, my name is Lampy Moth, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to rig an eyeball. Let's begin with the first thing, which is getting the deformer set up. We're going to name it, even though it's on the right side, we're going to name it left eye. Now the reason why we do that is because of a mirrored effect. If you're working on eye blinking or face movement, their left side is your right side, and your right side is their left side. That's why we're calling it left eye. Now that we got that, we need to take the tears and we need to add a deformer for that. We're just going to call that tear toggle. Then we're going to put create. Now that we got that, we're going to go to the eye glow, going to make a deformer for that. Eye glow toggle. So we already got the eye glow toggle and the tear toggle. We're going to select those two deformers, and then we're going to go to the inspector. We're going to go to opacity, and we're going to put 0. So now they disappear. So we'll come back to that at another time. So for right now, let's go to the eye parts. So with this, what we're going to want to do is select every single part that needed meshes. As I've mentioned in the previous video, there are two specific parts that I did not automatically add a mesh to, which is the eyebrow and the top of the eyelash. You could do the same thing for the bottom eyelash, but honestly, I feel like the bottom eyelash doesn't need it as much as these two do. Because these two, those ones are going to be the ones that are going to be doing the most movement. You're going to see soon enough what I mean. Because right now, since we're working on eyes, let's go to the eyelash, the top of the eyelash. As you can see, it just has a box. That's because we did not set up a mesh for it. And most of the time, you would normally go to this triangle up here that says auto. However, I'm going to show you how to make it manually. So it'll still be there. That's okay. We just go to the one that shows the triangle that shows the little link pin. And now it's going to take us to a weird tab over here. We're going to put Control A, just select the entire mesh. After that, delete it. We have no mesh now. As you can see, at the tools, we have a bunch of different little tabs. Select, lasso, add, delete, all of the other stuff, yada, yada, yada. It's already automatically set on add. So that's good. So now what we need to do is set up the mesh. We basically start with the center part. And for that center part, we need to move accordingly to however we want the eyelash to move. We're going to put the first starting lines dead in the center. You can put as many or as little as you like. The more meshes you put, the more complicated it's going to get. However, we'll allow you to make it a little bit cleaner when the movements happen. Instead of it being all very sharp edged and stuff like that, it's gonna look a lot better. All right, so now that we got the lines all set up here, what we need to do next is set up some triangles around every part that you set up the lines before. So just connect the dots like so, little by little. We'll probably adjust them when we get closer to it, but for right now, just... Oh, right. Also, the spikes that we're making, or the triangles that we're making, make sure they go outside of the eyelash shape. Folks, in case you're also wondering, why is Live2D so expensive? You are seeing exactly why right now. Now that we got all of that done, what we want to do is actually connect the dots. So now that we got the shape set up, we just got to do the same thing for the eyebrow. I'll come back after the eyebrow is done.
A few moments later.
All right, so now that we have the eyebrow and the eyelash meshes done, we can actually get started on everything else. So let's set up some deformers for these things. Now, I'm going to show you a brand new deformer. I've shown you the warp deformer. I've shown you the rotation deformer. I'm going to show you a different one. For certain parts, it needs a specific thing to work. And for the eyebrows and the eyelash and even the mouth line, we need a very specific deformer for that, which is called the deform path, which is right over here. This weird little box with a circle with a curved line over it, that's the one we need for this. So we're going to click on that. Just like how we made the art meshes, we just got to click on it. We're going to start with the outside, just a little bit on the outside of the mesh. And then we're going to put another dot right there. And as you can see, there's a bunch of circles popping up. In this case, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, for this situation, 6 should be good. We may not even need this one. We could probably leave it like this. 5 should be good. 2 parts for the outside of the eyelash, both on the inside and the outside, and then the middle part. So how you're going to want to use your deform path is that after you've gotten your dots set up, you're going to want to go to this arrow tool up top here, click on that, and now you're able to use these dots and warp the path however you see fit. Like so. Now that we got that part set up, what we need to do is go to the eyelid shadow over here. Let's make a deformer for that one. Let's call this brow shadow form. Next part is that we're going to go to the eyelid over here. And for this eyelid, we're going to do two specific things. Instead of just selecting the eyelid itself, what we also want to do is select eyelash top. We go to the box with the curve and the circle in it. We do exactly like we did last time. Put some dots. We got to make some deformers for everything else. And we're going to call this eyelash flip. It's going to be for when the eyelash closes and you kind of flip it over, where the eyelashes will be at the bottom rather than at the top. Let's see. So we got the eyelash. We got the eyebrow. Oh, we're actually going to need this. We're going to need to make a deformer for that one, like a regular deformer this time. We're going to call this one eyebrow X. Then we need to make eyebrow Y. It's going to be for the situations where the eyebrow needs to move a little bit forward, needs to move up, needs to move down, all of that stuff, maybe even rotate at an angle, that sort of thing. That's what the other deformers are going to be for. Let's go to the sclera. We're just going to call it sclera blink. We also need the bottom lash. Where's bottom lash? There it is. We're going to call this one lash X, because we will have some X and Y deformers for them for when the eye moves left to right. Add lash Y. Then we put blink. We're also probably going to have to do that for the top lash too. So let's select the eyelid, eyelash top, and eyelash lid. For the eyelid, we're going to call that one lid blink. Now we go to the iris. We select everything that is within the iris right here. So we're just going to make a deformer for that. We're going to make a green box. So we click on the fishing net, make that warp. We're going to call this one iris X. Do it again. We call it iris Y. So let's make a pupil X. And then we got to make Y for that one as well. We're going to go to iris X and we're going to go to the eyeball. You'll see that we have eyeball X and eyeball Y. We do the same thing as we did before when it comes to deformer. Just click on those three dots for angle X. Make sure you have iris X. Move it to the right. Eyeball moves to the right. Move it to the left. Eyeball moves to the left. Leave it there. Go to iris Y. Go to eyeball Y. Click on that. Put the three green dots. Move it up. Have the eye move up. Move it down. Have the eye move down. Me personally, I always like to think that if you're going to move the eye in a specific direction, it should at least still show the pupil, because the pupil is technically just a hole for your peripherals. So we have up and down, left and right. Go to pupil X, put that on eyeball X. So when the eyeball moves in a specific direction, you can actually have the pupil not go to the right side, but actually go to the left side. Give it a little bit of perspective going on there. If I'm correct, the iris is kind of like a cone. So if the iris itself is looking in the right direction, the pupil here, as its cone effect, will actually move slightly more to the left, and vice versa. So when we move the eyeball over to the left side, the pupil is actually going to move a little bit more to the left. Now that we got all of those effects, let's get to the actual blinking. So the first thing we're going to want to do is adjust our eye open parameters. That would be those dials right there. Now the purpose for that is so we can add a shocked expression later down the road. And in order to get started with that, we just got to go to said parameter, right click on that. And when you right click on it, you'll see multiple options. We just want the top option that says edit parameter. Click on that. When you do, this tab will pop up. Now, this is going to be very, very simple. All we got to do is just go to this bottom right part that says maximum and adjust that 1 to a 1.5. And we just got to do the same thing for the other eye open parameter as well. And now we can get things moving. So we're going to go to the top lash and we're going to go to eye open. But however, as you see, it says IR, which means it's the right side. So instead of putting IR open like you see on the parameter tab over here, we're actually going to go to IL open. We just got to select these parts. So for the deformers, we're going to want eye open, the eye close, and the eye wide open. But what we're also going to want is a few more extra dots around here. We're going to want a buffer so the eyes, for the most part, stay open. If you just keep the eye open and the eye closed, There might be a couple of issues with the eye staying open. It might stay at the halfway point or anything like that if you're rather tired or the tracking doesn't match your eyes or anything like that. So in order to avoid those sort of issues, adding a little bit of a buffer makes things a little bit easier. And we're going to add that buffer to 0.7. We're going to add that dot right there. So we have those two parts. Also, in order to get the halfway point, we can also put a dot around the third point, but we'll leave that for later. For right now, let's go to the closed one here, because our default is 0, 1. That's going to be when it's open. So when we put it at 0, that is when it's going to be closed. We're going to go all the way, bring the dot all the way to the left side, because this is when it's going to close. Let's also get the eyelash flip and register this one as well. All right, with that, what we're also going to do is go to the eyelashes, the eyelash flip. We're going to drag this down. We're going to flip it over as well. Around here. So when it moves, you'll see that we got our blinking effect. However, that is just the eyelash. We're going to need to work on other things. We still need to work on the top of the eyelid and the sclera. So let's actually just get started on that sclera first. Sclera blink in particular. Go back to the left eye open parameters, not the 3 green dots. We want 2 green dots for now. Click on this, put a green dot there. Click on this, put a green dot there. And then we click on this. And now we move this down. We just drag the whole thing down. And also, this is the main reason why we put a clipping mask on all the parts that are within the sclera. So when the sclera blinks and closes, everything else is hidden along with it. So you don't have to make a deformer for all of that other stuff. You just make a deformer for the sclera, and you just move it around as accordingly, and everything else will follow suit without actually having to do anything. That's the magic of clipping masks when it comes to Live2D. Makes your life a little bit easier. Now, let's see how well this works out, because when it closes, that's a problem. However, there might be a way to fix that. What we just need to do is drag this much further down, as well as going to the bottom eyelash. This is where we need to start working on that part next. This is also why you're going to want to rename these lashes. So we're actually going to go to this one and call it bottom lash. So we could go to bottom lash down here, go to blink, drag this up a bit. There we go. That should be good. But at the same time, I also realized we have to go back to the eyelash flip. Yeah, I could work with that. That's the eyelash, but now we need to move the eyelid just a little bit. Add the green dots to the parameter, the little dials. We're going to move this down here. So we're going to use our selection tool. Select the bottom half. Just drag this whole thing down until it reaches a certain point. That shape was not supposed to be there originally. All right, so we fixed up the issue. I just had to go back into Photoshop. We got the eye blinking. I mean, it could probably be a little bit better with this section of the sclera, because you could see that it looks like it's shrinking rather than closing. So how do we fix that? Well, what we just got to do is make a halfway point, making an easier transition between the eye open and the eye close. Or if you really wanted to, you could either just make it usable to make the Live2D model looking sleepy or irritated, or however which direction you want to go with that one. So we already have most of it done, mostly because we already have a closed version and an open version. So we just gotta find a middle ground. If that's 7 and this is 0, I want to say the middle ground would be around between 3 or 4, or 0.3 to be specific. First, we're going to select everything there, go to 0.3, add the green dot, and now we just adjust things accordingly. Snag those little green lines, move the eyelid just a little bit more. I'm going to bring the eyelid down a little, give it a little bit more character there. We are going to go to the sclera. This part should be a little bit further out so you can actually see it. And there we go. It shrinks a lot less, so it'll be a lot less noticeable. So even from far away, it doesn't really seem like it's shrinking all that much anymore. It's legitimately closing, and that's exactly what we wanted for this. So now that we got all that out of the way, we're going to add the last part of the blinking, which is going to be the surprised expression. Now, if you notice, when we leave it at reset to default settings, or default values, you'll notice that it's at 0.1, but it's not all the way to the right side. That's because this part's going to be a little extra. This part is going to be something that you're not normally going to see all the time. That's why we don't want that one to be the default. We have the default just a little bit closer to the center. Because at 1.5, this is where we're going to add a different expression that allows your model to express a little more surprise. Now that we go to 1.5, on our eye open setting, let's start selecting some stuff. Let's go to the eyelash top. We're going to just start dragging this one much higher. Wait, do I not have anything for eyelid shadow? Oh, well, we got to change that. We're going to put everything back to normal. Make a deformer for this. We need to get one of those green boxes because we literally only need it for this part. Now for the eye. Snag all the parts that are connected to iris X and iris Y. We're going to call this iris shrink. Add all the default settings to all of this. All we got to do, hold the equivalent to the shift and the alt key, and just shrink this down a little bit. Although since we're at the halfway open, hold on, let's go back to iris. We're going to use the same one that we used to shrink the iris. We're going to go to the one where it's at the halfway point. Just going to drag this down. Even when the eye is closed, they're still staring at you like, right, that sort of thing. Either that or just absolutely tired. Let's actually go with 0.4. That is the blinking process right there. We got the standard eye, we got the halfway close, we got the completely closed, we got the buffer between open and closed, and we got the surprise look. We got to get the basics for the eyebrow next. Let us go to brow L. We're going to go with brow form for this, actually. We're going to put OK, put the 3 dots for this one, because we're going to have the happy expressions and the sad expressions, or the angry expressions. So for brow form, let's just go with that. We're going to go with the up first. So we're going to move it to the right, drag these parts up, just grab the little green dots that are on the deformer itself, just drag them up. Now, of course, you're also seeing that the eyebrow shadow is also missing a few features, so we're going to have to come back over here, go to the eyebrow shadow form, so we could raise this up. Yeah, that should be good. And so that's the eyebrow raise. Now we're going to bring the eyebrow down. I also want to make an eyebrow angle, so let's make that. We're going to call this one angle. And then we go to eyebrow L angle. And of course, we put the 3 green dots. We move it one direction. We just rotate the sucker. And when we rotate, we don't just rotate it and leave it as so. We're actually going to want to move it forward a bit. This way it feels like the eyebrow is actually curling. Now we're going to move the dial parameter over here. We're going to move it to the right side. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to rotate it in the opposite direction. We're also going to move it just a little bit to that opposite direction. Now we go for eyebrow Y, brow L on the parameters. And this part's relatively easy. Just move up, move it this way, move down. Simple enough as is. Moves up, moves down. Now for the next part, we're going to need to go to brow shadow form, and we're going to need to make a new one for that. We're going to call this one brow shadow Y. Because when this moves up, this too will need to move up. Because of that, we're also going to need to consider when the eyebrow moves up and when the form changes as well. Because it may not work perfectly. Because of that, we're going to probably need to go to shadow form and readjust those parts when we get to that point, along with the angles. You just have to have one of them set up as the mediator. I picked one of these green boxes to latch on to all 3 of these parameters. Actually, you know what? Just take the 2 top rows and just move that up so nothing down here gets messed up. There we go. Then we do the same thing on this part. Well, for this one, we're going to need the 3 rows, I suppose. Instead of 2 rows, we're going to need 3. And just pull this down. Then, should be all good. And with that, we got everything set. We got the eye blinking, we got the eyebrows, we got the whole eye rig done. So we're finished. Thank you all for watching. Join us next time as we start to work on the mouth rig afterwards. So, hope you look forward to that video.